Welcome back to Real Beard News. This is Sean and Miriam. How is your week?
It's been good. It's been not super eventful, but
It's been a week?
yeah, it's been a week.
Nice.
What about you?
It's been a week. It's not that bad. You know, we have something planned for next week, so that's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
I
I'm
can't
actually
wait.
really excited about that.
I can't wait. I really look forward to it.
Same.
So that should be fun. But we have in process, or at least we're planning to review Renfield,
Mm-hmm.
which that's fun. The Mario Brothers movie, the Super Mario movie. I don't know what to call it anymore. Which I'm so not looking forward to actually watching, but
Oof.
we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what our reviews will be of that one.
You're
From
probably
what
gonna
I've
say
heard.
like it's gonna be so great. It's great. It's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
And then you'll come on and say, actually, it's not that good.
I'll be you with Scream 4.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it away so like that you could just be nice about it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
And then John Wick.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the whole John Wick series because
Oh,
you're a
it's gonna
big
be fun.
fan.
Oh yeah.
Such a big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan. What's your favorite character in John Wick?
John Wick.
Oh, okay, yeah. Totally. You know what? I didn't see that one coming.
I know.
All right, but that's fun. But we're finally at Scream.
Yeah.
Finally at Scream. 1996. I was 6 years old. How old were you?
I was negative 16 years old, I think. Because is there 10 years between us?
I'm
What year were you
32, 90.
Okay, yeah. Yep, we are 10 years apart. Cause
Okay.
I was
So
born
you were
in,
negative 6.
I was negative 16.
Negative 16.
Oh, no, wait.
I was
Is that
6.
how that would work?
You were born what year?
I was born. No, that one makes sense. Why am I can't do math right
Can't
now.
math.
I was born in 2001.
2001.
So I'm 22.
Okay.
So since there's a 10-year gap. would
There's an
be-
11-year gap.
Yeah. What month? You're born in
May.
May. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your birthday's coming up.
My birthday is coming up.
Hey, that's exciting.
It is. I'm gonna be 109.
That's really cool.
I know.
Yeah, that would make me 99. 98 technically.
Well, you know, shit happens. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. You weren't even born.
No, I wasn't.
When was the first time you watched Scream then?
Oh, I think it was actually so my friends like to get together to watch like movies, and I have very select friends that will watch horror movies. Like my fiance will not watch a horror movie with me. But we will I think it was actually Halloween 2 years ago
Okay.
that I watched it. It was super fun. My good friend is super into horror movies, and he introduced us to the Scream franchise, and we all really loved it. It was probably, yeah, I think it's actually my favorite scary movie. Like,
Interesting.
to go along with the Scream theme.
Nice.
So I just think it's fun. I love the meta humor of it. Everything. I just think it's fun. You know?
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I honestly don't remember when I watched Scream. I'm pretty sure I watched it like when I was 6.
Mhm.
Probably with my sister, because my sister's 6 years older than I am, so that means she was 12.
Uh-huh.
And it's weird because like in my family we were allowed to watch horror movies as long as there was no graphic sex scenes in it.
Mm-hmm.
We could watch it. No sex, but slicing someone's throat open is okay.
That actually sounds like what my parents would do. They're like, no sex? Okay, let's watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a lot of movies earlier than I probably should have, but
Yeah.
I'm glad for it.
Yeah, I mean that's how I watched most of the Halloweens, which they don't have graphic sex. So it was like, oh, there's boobs, like cover your eyes. My eyes were covered.
Uh-huh.
And I think the first rated R, like legit rated R movie that I watched was from start to beginning. From start to beginning. From beginning to end was Speed with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was the first rated R movie that I watched.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the first, if not the first rated R movie I saw was The Matrix, I think. But, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But my dad was like, oh, like, I want to show you guys The Matrix. But we had a clean version of it.
mm-hmm.
But then we lost it or something. But then he looked it up. And the only reason it's rated R, I mean, there is gore in it 'cause of all the shooting. But,
Sure.
like, the only thing that made it R was, like, there was, like, 6 F-bombs in the end credits song. So we watched that, and I was
Wow.
like, oh, this is awesome. I love The Matrix.
Just
But
turn off the credits and that's
yeah,
it.
just turn off.
It's PG-13 at that point.
Pretty much.
That is awesome. All right. So you watched Scream for the first time 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What made you like it so much?
Like I said, I really love the meta of it, for real. I love it when somebody, like, I love self-aware stuff,
Mhm.
and this totally fits in that category. I loved the mystery of it all, that, like, everyone seemed like they were Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you didn't know until the end who it was, for real. And I loved that they killed Billy.
Right.
And you're like, what? He came back. And then it, like, totally makes sense. And then you connect all the dots. I love a good mystery. Because I feel like with at least the first Halloween, it was like, there's a killer and they're under a mask. Like, you never really get to see his face. But there's not really that mystery of, oh, who is this?
Mhm.
Until, like, the future Halloweens. But that's not, like, the big reason for Halloween. But for Scream, it's like this whole time, oh, they have someone that they're targeting, so there must be a reason behind this, you know? So it's like a mystery within horror, within a meta, with everything. I
Right.
really enjoy just the idea of it. I love self-aware humor. I think it's great.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, Scream did so much for the horror genre in general after it came out that it keeps bringing people year after year with new fans every single time. And I think one of those, it's almost like a whodunit
Mm-hmm.
kind of like mystery.
Yeah, like a whodunit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, I really enjoy that aspect of it because you're trying to figure it out with the characters. And we've been mentioning this over and over again since we've been reviewing 6 and coming down. Just the amount of red herrings that you get in one single movie
Mm-hmm.
is just fantastic. And I don't think there has been any other movies that are in the horror genre that has been good in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's introduced multiple killers, not just your single one. I mean, of course, we had 3 with the brother being the
Mhm.
killer there. But aside from that, I mean, we've always had multiple killers. And I think that alone gives you that sense of, you mentioned Halloween, right? Where Michael is 20 blocks away and somehow appears right in front of you.
Uh-huh.
It took away that supernatural aspect. And it was like, yeah, we could be in 2 places at once because there's 2 of us.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I really like that. And I
Mhm.
think more movies should do that, multiple killer kind of a thing. And so, I don't know. I look forward to more Screams in the future and what it has in stored.
Yeah.
But speaking about in stored, that's a terrible segue. Wes Craven. Wes Craven did Scream. He directed Scream. What did you think between this movie that he made and A Nightmare on Elm Street? What differences do you see, and what are the things that you like from A Nightmare on Elm Street? What are the things that you like from Scream? And what would you like to see in a newer version of A Nightmare on Elm Street
Mm.
with Scream elements?
Mm-hmm. I think with Scream, you get a sense of resolution, like we see. So, like, the killers have been unmasked, they end up dying, all this kind of stuff. Like, at least with Scream 1, because then as Scream 2 and so on have come out, there's, like, always going to be a killer. But with Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like a dream within a dream, you know, and there's still that fear that Freddy Krueger is still out there, you know, and especially like the end of Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like they get into the car and it's like, so what happened?
Right.
You know, it still leaves you guessing and like not really sure what went on. We also see how we have this strong female character who is like trying to fight the villain off the whole time, which I think is a similarity between the two. But I think that I really like seeing in Scream with Sydney that she has all these people helping her, you know? And so we have this bigger, tighter group that we really get to enjoy getting attached to, and we see throughout more of the Screams. But I would really love to see in Scream a movie that doesn't quite resolve, like we see on Nightmare on Elm Street. Jeez, because there's still that like questioning that happens at least at the beginning of the first one of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
That I would love to see maybe a killer that does get away, that never gets unmasked maybe. And we've
Right.
talked about this in previous episodes of like maybe a like all-knowing ghost face in a way,
Mm-hmm.
like the boss of the ghost faces, you know.
Right.
So I would love to see maybe that carried on to the future Screams that we've seen with Wes Craven with Nightmare on Elm Street. you know.
Yeah. No, that would definitely be interesting because, like, at the end of one, they get in the car and it's filmed in a very odd way where you're thinking, okay, is it a dream? Is it another dream that they're having or that Nancy's having? Because we also see the doll getting, and I call it a doll, it's supposed to be her mom, but like the doll gets dragged into the door, into
Yeah.
that little door window thing that it has. And then the car looks like a Freddy Krueger car.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, or it has the Freddy Krueger colors, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that, but everybody's alive, I think it was also. So it tells you enough information like, yeah, it's a dream. Freddy wasn't defeated. And then we have part 2, which, whatever. But it would be interesting to see Scream take a similar route with what we've discussed in the past, right? Where it's Sam or Tara that become the killer, and or having what's his name, Stu, come back and just control the situation the way that Sydney's brother did.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I'd be down. Or have like a supernatural Ghostface. Like it's no longer kind of like what Wes did with A New Nightmare, where Freddy took its own character, like its own place, into the real world. That'd be pretty cool to see something like that with like Scream, the unfinal whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But speaking of Ghostface and taking its own, life, or its own form, I should say, what do you think is the significance of the Ghostface costume and the mask? Like, what is that significance, and how do you see it contributing to the horror genre?
Yeah. I think it's really unique what they do with the Ghostface costume, honestly, because it is so simple. It's just like the robe and the mask, and it's something that anybody could wear. I think they chose that costume really well because it's like you don't know if there's a girl under there. You don't know if it's a guy. You don't know. Like, they do it in such a way that you never really know how tall they are. Like, they all seem to be like 6.5 feet tall. But it's interesting to see, like, anybody can wear the mask. Anybody. It's like no matter who it is. And so it adds to that, like, fear of, oh, like, who's next? And, like, why are they doing this? Because you don't know who it is. I also think that it helps with that realism of, like, it being less supernatural, like you said, that, like, Michael Myers could be, like 2 miles away and then suddenly he's right next to you. But because the Ghostface costume is so easy to take on and off and, like, rush different places, because there's so many times we see Billy in Scream 1, like, pop up out of nowhere, and then it's like, once you find out it's him, it's like, okay, this is still, like, realistically something that can happen.
Right.
And so it's not so supernatural, and it's more realistic and makes more sense, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so it makes it a little, just that, like, that little bit of fear that, like, oh, it's anybody.
Yeah.
And it really helps with those red herrings as well, you know?
Yeah, like the danger becomes real.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you've mentioned, again, in past episodes where you're like, one of the reasons that you like watching Scream in the theater, and you would have liked to watch the earlier things in theater, is because of that fear of the fear, not so much of what's happening on screen, but the fear that someone next to you could be a killer.
Yeah.
Which we saw in Scream 2.
Yeah, Scream 2.
With, wearing the mask and stuff. So, which, again, plays to what you're saying, that anybody could be the killer.
Yeah.
Anybody could just put it on and stab someone, throw it, and then pretend like nothing ever happened, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do like that. The other thing that you mentioned is we can't tell what they are. They're wearing like a freaking hoodie, basically, right? Some type of like ghost hood stuff, and it's so not form fitting. It's the baggiest thing that you could wear.
It's literally like a sheath.
Yeah, like you will never know if it's a chick because of that, or you will never know if it's a dude or how built they are, right? And so all of a sudden you have someone that could throw you 10 feet, to the other side of the wall, and you're like, what the hell are you? So even though it's not supernatural, it gives you the illusion of supernatural ability because you don't know how strong they are, you don't know how big they are, you can't really tell. It's all black. And then you have a white mask. Yeah. Right? Which is cool because the white mask is the homage to Michael and Jason.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
super
is pretty
iconic.
Cool. Yeah. Masks are important.
Yeah, totally.
They're super important. Which, to me, one of the cool things that I see is the Scream painting, the dude with the face with the hands.
Yeah, totally.
That's what the Scream mask reminds me of.
Yeah, same.
So, I mean, I do enjoy seeing those similarities of like paintings and fine art, quote unquote fine art, in a different type of medium,
Totally.
which is the Scream outfit.
Yeah, I actually was just thinking about what you said about masks, is that like the Ghostface mask itself kind of represents that hate and that desire to like take on and like get revenge, basically.
Right.
And so it's like it kind of takes away the individual person and instead represents that hate and wanting to kill, because you see it in a lot of the kills, especially in the later Screams.
Yeah.
Of just like, it's so heinous and intense that it's like, it doesn't matter how hard you fight back. Like sometimes, like they just get you. Like they do stab you. You see that with Dewey in 5 and stuff like that. That it's like, it was in 5. It was a girl and it was a guy, and like,
Yep.
I don't know if a 15-year-old girl or however old she was could have defeated Dewey, but like with that intense hate and like desire to get what you want, it's like you are erased, and Ghostface, that it stands for you instead, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, that's totally true. And I like that you mentioned like the Mask of Hate, because like usually the Mask of Hate is like Michael Myers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because with the original Michael Myers, he was trying to kill. Sorry, not the first one. I think it was the second one, when they tried to establish that Jamie Lee Curtis's character was Michael's sister, and so it was like, oh, because of the hatred that he has towards his family, he's trying to kill, and the mask gives him the power and all that other extra crap, and then they retconned it, and we went a different direction. But either way, like the Scream mask is almost that mask of hate of like Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
The hate towards Sydney. Now in 5 and 6 is more the hate towards Sam and Tara, but either way, it's still a mask of hate. And it almost is like every single character that wears a mask has a version of a mask of hate, because it gives them that power over people, because they're not seeing, because like you could wear a mask and you could try to kill someone, and even if you're terrified of stabbing this person or shooting this person, the mask doesn't give any emotion,
Mm-hmm.
which instills more fear into people.
Yeah.
So I like that you mentioned that. Also, the whole costume thing helps, like you were saying, that you can't tell what it is. It's really helpful in playing with that meta commentary that you like so much, because you don't know what's under there.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a dude or it could be a chick. There's only two options of what it could be, but who is that person? You'll never know, which is something that before all your killers were dudes. Freddy, Jason, Michael, Pinhead,
Yeah.
right, from
Aside
Hellraiser.
The mom from Friday the 13th.
Right,
Which
from
is
the
very
first one.
important for this one, because Drew Barrymore got it wrong. No.
I mean, and she watched that movie
I
like
know.
over 20 times or something like that, and she still failed.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. But now that you mentioned Drew Barrymore, what are some of the key moments for you of Scream, of the first Scream, and why? Why do they stand out so much for you?
I think the opening scene is iconic,
Yeah.
because I think it's one that is a little bit different than something we've seen before. And I think it's so interesting that we get to see this character, and it's like, oh. And when I first saw it, I knew Drew Barrymore was in it, and I'm like, oh, she's the main character, because I'd never seen it before. I just kind of assumed, because she's a famous actor, at least she is now. And so, so I was like, okay. So I kind of already got emotionally involved with who she was, and then she starts getting threatened, and she ends up dying within the first 15 minutes. And I think that's just such a bold choice for the writer to have this character like two characters taken out in the first like 10, 15 minutes. It's a very bold choice to make, and it's like, this is for real. We're doing it, you know? I also really love the bathroom scene with Sydney, where so she's like in the stall listening to the girls kind of gossiping about her and everything, and like then she comes out, she's kind of upset, and then you hear Sydney, and you're like, oh my gosh, what? And I think they built the tension really well, because she like looked around, she looked underneath the stalls to see if there's any feet, and like there's nobody in there, and then you see the boots come down, and you're like, oh my gosh, how long have they been in here? How'd they get in here? Like they're totally like going after Sydney. And that's also, I think, when it's solidified in my mind that it's like, yeah, this is a killer that's going after a lot of people, but it seems like Sydney is the main victim here, you know, or like the person that they're like trying to get this revenge on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really enjoyed how they set that up. And then like, I think she gets like chased out of the bathroom, but they don't follow her. So it's like almost like this, did she imagine this? Is this real? You know? And so it's just adding this suspense. And I think it's just so well done that like she checks and she's like, oh, I'm fine. Right? And then they're hidden, you know?
Yeah.
I just think that was so good.
Yeah. I do like that scene. That scene's very interesting. Who do you think it was?
Because I think she runs out and runs into Billy, doesn't she?
Uh-huh.
So that's hard because Billy like is always there at the exact wrong time.
Yeah.
You know? I want to say that it's Stu because they're probably trying to get Sydney off his trail,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I wouldn't be surprised if they set it up specifically so that like Ghostface chases her for then Billy to run into her. Like they set it up on purpose. So I think it's Stu,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's also a total chance that it could be Billy.
Yeah, it's such a weird scene because like she runs out of the bathroom and immediately bumps into Billy. Like almost you walk out the room and boom, right there.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like, okay, one, like you said, did you imagine this and you're just freaked out? Or two, did Billy run around the building to go ahead and meet you now in front?
Yeah.
Or did Billy bump into you because Stu needed a getaway, right? Because if he would have allowed her to keep going, maybe they would have seen, like, someone would have seen Stu running out with Costume or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. My scene that I enjoy very, very much is the Randy scene, which I think I've mentioned before, where Randy's sitting on the couch and freaking Ghostface is right behind him, and he's just like yelling to look behind, right? That's that social commentary.
Yeah.
Or that
that meta.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That meta commentary of like look behind you. Like he just explained the rules. And I think Stu's the one that says I'll be right back.
Yeah.
But he just finished explaining the rules. He knows better. Like there's a whole open doorway. Like it was almost shot for shot with the Halloween movie that they were watching. And it's just like, bro, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you're about to die, sir.
Totally.
The other one that I like is also the beginning, not so much because of everything that was happening, but because of the story behind the opening scene with Drew Barrymore. So Drew Barrymore wanted to die.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was like, yeah, that'd be great. I think that's genius, right? Her idea was like, Wes came up to her, told her like, hey, this is the character that you're playing. You're going to die. She's like, make it as brutal as possible. That's awesome because that is going to play with everybody's expectations. But that's not the story that I like. The story that I like is the fact that there were, when her boyfriend is hanged, when she's hanged, there's supposed to be like guts and everything all around. And the production company didn't like that.
Huh.
They were like, that's too much. And so they went back and edited to like speed ramp it.
Huh.
And so like if you've noticed when the parents arrive and they look at the bag, it's like a speed ramp towards it.
Yeah.
And somehow they just, oh yeah, that's great.
Oh.
But they left everything there.
I love it.
They left everything the same. It was just like a speed ramp that they did to kind of like not dwell in the fact that she was gutted.
To like hide it a little bit.
Yep. Because she was gutted.
Yeah.
Which it's interesting because it was supposed to be like Stu's ex-girlfriend. So it's interesting that he chose to kill her just because she's dating a football guy now. So,
I think that is so funny because I could totally see us doing that.
Oh, 100%.
It's like, we don't like it. And it's like, okay.
We're going to do it
like,
anyway.
Like, I'm sure you guys won't let us because we like it, so we're going to do it.
Right. And yeah, so they didn't change much from it.
Yeah.
They just went ahead and speed ramped it. And
I think that's also so iconic for like the speed ramp. Because I think it's just such a cool shot as well that it's like, we wouldn't have had that if they didn't get that.
They didn't bitch about something.
Yeah.
Always the people that don't know how to create something bitch about something. Just throwing that out there. You know, which is weird. Because here we are talking about movies. But we've created stuff.
We have.
We've created stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not the same.
And we're not telling him to change it.
Right. We're not. Right.
Well, we have suggestions, but we're not saying you have to take it.
That's fair. That's fair. That's very fair. And we are very very familiar with non-creative people telling us, well, this doesn't work.
Yeah, we don't like it. Nobody will know what that is.
Anyways. No, I have a comment about that.
Oh, no.
So, Bew. So there's a movie coming out called, I believe it was Beau is Afraid.
Oh, yeah.
With Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Is Ari Aster, so the director of Hereditary.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Midsummer. Yeah.
This is another short film that he had done prior to those called Beau is Afraid. I think that's the name.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, so I kind of want to watch it, but I hope that the people that we know that bitched about, oh, well, that doesn't really, and mind you, I was, mind you, I don't.
You were on their side.
Listen,
okay.
listen, BEAU, for starters, English is my second language. This is my defense, okay? BEAU for me is just the beginning of Bew, because it's like beautiful, right?
That's fair.
But anyway, that's no excuse for white people. You white as hell. English is your first language. I don't want to hear it.
But they are Utah English people, which is a little bit different.
You're right. Y'all have different spellings for like basic as words.
Don't group me with them.
Were you not born here?
But I didn't go to school here.
Respect.
I'm from the South, and Beau is like probably one of the top baby names like in the South.
That's crazy.
It's like French, and we like people are like,
and you were colonized by the French.
It's sophisticated, and it's like, no, it's not.
I'm sorry. What is it?
It's sophisticated.
Perfect. Thank you. Wanted to make sure I heard it right.
But yeah, so and Beau is Afraid is spelled BEAU.
BEAU. You win. You win.
I win. I win.
Miriam was right. Sean was wrong.
We got it on tape, folks.
Hey, you know what? I'm all for admitting when I'm wrong. I'm about that life. I'm not always right, but when I am, I am.
Wow, that's really big of you to say.
Here's the thing. As much as when I'm right, when I'm wrong, holy crap, am I wrong?
That's fair.
Like, I'm so far removed from being right, dude. Like,
and I do have to give it to you. You are good at.
I'm like Democrat wrong.
No, corruptocrat wrong. Oh no.
Oh, you know what I would have wanted was to keep that essay.
Oh.
I'm gonna ask for that essay. That's one of my favorite essays. Anyway, the inside jokes right now happening are fantastic.
Yeah, sorry everybody. You're welcome.
But yes, those two are my favorite scenes from Scream. I think they're hilarious. I will say, aside, like I'm still like, how long did this man wait in the toilet?
Right.
Because
was it like Cinda's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, guys, and they're like, wait just a second, and then Stu like runs to the bathroom.
Right, like how do you? Here's the thing. I love Scream. I think it's a great horror movie. I do have questions about it sometimes because it's like, how did you pull this off? And like the fact that everybody suspends that belief for it just makes you think of how great that movie is.
For real.
Because we're willing to suspend so much belief, so much logical sense to be like, no, that tracks. Totally. Two killers? Totally.
Yeah.
There wasn't that one guy that was super tired after he ran across. Yep, it's two.
He's not out of breath at all.
No. Hi, Sydney. Woo! Hold on.
This is a little sus. What? How dare you?
You're accusing. You know what? I think you need to get over your mom's death. Okay.
It's been a year.
Damn, that run was crazy. But anyway, don't mind that I just showed up at your window. Also, with the little, hey, let's have sex. Like, come on.
I'd like it to be a little more less PG-13.
You and I have no right to talk shit about dialogue.
You're right. You're so right.
We got some cheesy ass dialogue too.
Yeah.
And they always start with, hey, If I just noticed that too.
Who wrote this line? You?
Favorite. That is the best part. Like, who the hell wrote this? You. But who read over it and didn't say shit about it?
You're right.
So
That's fair. Yeah, by the end of filming Ghost of Her, I was a little more aware of the script than you were.
So much. So much.
So fun, though.
Yeah, it was some of the
I
best
want to get
time.
back on set now that we've talked about that, but
I'm just saying.
we're on set next week.
Exactly.
I'm
Well,
excited.
it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then probably 2 weeks after that. How does Scream subvert the traditional thought of the horror genre and like the tropes that it had and the expectations? And what impact do you believe it had on the audience?
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit off air. That this is different than a lot of the other horror movies that we've seen, especially like OG horror movies. So like Halloween 1 and all the other ones, like Nightmare on Elm Street 1. A lot of times it's like the solo girl is the only one that lives, and she's the one that fights them off in the end. And this one is a little bit different because Sydney, she does like fight him off in the end, and
Right.
she's the one that stabs him with the umbrella and is the one there for their monologue and everything. But like we have Gail and we have Dewey and we have Randy and all these people fighting, and I think all of them survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so yeah, all of them survive into Scream 2, and so that's something that's really different that I thought is really fun, because I think that is also something that's let Scream survive for so long. You know, is that we have this group, this base group of people that we're rooting for every movie, and so we're excited to see them the next time.
Yeah.
And it's also something that we've seen throughout the Screams, that like in specific movies, legendary characters are on the line.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what gets you to come back. And I think that is something that changed for the horror genre. Because we also saw, I watched the newest Halloween, like last Halloween, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think they're leaning more into like, there can be more than one person survive, like the serial killer, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think, again, just helps people come back, and it helps the story progress, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I also think that, you know, the final girl trope has been done so many times. Like
Mhm.
Jamie Lee Curtis is a Scream queen, right?
Yeah.
Neve Campbell is in that just because of Scream, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it beat that because it's not just a final girl, like you said. It's the final group of friends. Now, what we're calling the core four, I think,
Mm-hmm.
with Sam, Tara, and the Randys.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Randys.
because we remember names.
Oh, yeah.
We're so good at
The
our job.
twins.
The twins.
Yeah.
Let's call them the twins. So we have the twins, Sam and Tara. You have some legacy characters, you know, here and there and stuff.
Mhm.
So being able to, I think one of the first movies that killed a legacy character ever, and people could kill me for this, but I think it was Friday the 13th.
Mm.
No, sorry. Well, Friday the 13th also, but also A Nightmare on Elm Street. It killed Nancy in the 5th one, I think.
Ah, yeah.
So she goes, survives 1. I don't remember if she was in 2. Then we don't see her in 3. Then 4, she gets reintroduced. And that's where she's a psychologist now of dreams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she realizes, oh, these new teenagers are being attacked by my old nemesis. And she teaches them how to be dream warriors. And then in 5, we have her die, like at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday the 13th killed a legacy character because of what happened off camera, which was she started getting stalked by someone. And she was like, I don't want it. I'll come back, but you have to kill me. So they killed her off like in the beginning of the movie also.
Gotcha, yeah.
So those two are the ones that started killing legacy characters. But look at Jamie Lee Curtis, has been going for like 25 years now, playing the same character. And she died in one of them because of, you know, she was done with it. And then they brought her back again because we cancel Halloween every single time. And then she survives this one.
Mhm.
Because like you mentioned, like the newest one was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But she survives that. And so that's it. That should be the end of Halloween, at least with her being in the front. The person that plays her granddaughter could definitely take it over, and it'll be great. However, they have introduced a new way to kind of like do Halloween, which would be pretty interesting to see. But Scream was the one that took legacy characters from the start and was like, yeah, Randy, bye. Everyone else is on the line.
Randy and Dewey's deaths are just what got me the most.
Yeah.
They make me so sad.
But like, think about what they could have done, because how many times has Dewey gotten stabbed in almost every single movie?
Yeah. I do have to say, I know when we talked about Scream 5, I'm like, I wish they'd given him a better death. But I've thought about it more, and I'm like, I feel like that's just fitting for him.
Yeah.
Because, like, he survived so many times, and he totally gave himself up to save everybody else. So I feel bad for talking trash on his death.
His was almost an honorable death.
Yeah.
Almost. But then the other thing that it kind of played on the expectations was we never expected two killers.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier in the episode, I don't think any other movie has done multiple killers outside of the Scream franchise, which is really sad because it is a good thing to play on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times they want to play on supernatural abilities, and then that's been played so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see something different eventually from different horror movies. But it also went ahead and not knowing who could it be, like we said earlier, and you mentioned, you'll never know who's under that gown because it could be a chick, it could be a dude, it could be a chick that is a weightlifter and she could toss you, or it could be a, what was it, Robbie? It could be a Robbie that is weak as hell, but fast as hell and could slice your throat in 2 seconds and then appear without the gown, you know? So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that from it. But one of the things that Scream also did, it was almost like a cautionary tale of technology. Almost.
In Scream 1?
Yeah. Because what were the things that were coming out at that time?
You're right.
Or
cell phones. Yeah.
Big ass cell phones. Because if you remember when Billy gets arrested and he has the cell phone, he's like, why do you have a cell phone? Kind of a thing. It's like, you're automatically suspicious about the person that has a cell phone. There were only 3 types of people that had cell phones: rich people kids, and drug dealers. These were your 3 that had cell phones.
You can only fit in these 3 categories.
That is it.
Nothing else.
There was no reason to have a cell phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was almost a cautionary tale of what that piece of technology could do. So what do you think? What role did technology have in Scream? On top of the cell phone, we also had a voice modulator.
Yeah.
So what were the roles that technology and media had in Scream?
Yeah, I think that especially the cell phone had a lot of emphasis in this because it was like, I think for the people at the time, because it was so new, it showed that like they didn't have to be at their house, and it would like make sense that they're there and they're like, I see you, because you know, they can literally be in your backyard. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't take a landline anymore. There's that chance that they're there watching you, you know? I also think that, I guess this can be portrayed as media, but it's like everybody had so much more access to movies at the time, which it was before as well. But it's like you get together with your friends, you watch a horror movie. So it's like, it's this huge thing of like, there's such easy access to this information that it makes sense that people are going to start like doing what they see on TV, you know? And so it's like they've created this idea that there's these killers, and like as we see with the phone call at the beginning, it's like, what's your favorite scary movie? And it's like, I don't know. I feel like up until that point, and of course there's totally movies to watch before then, but it's like there's this like genre that's on demand for you at any time that like it does make you a little paranoid, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Definitely cautionary tale of cell phones and what they could do, right? But also I think as far as media is concerned, not only the media consumption of movies and stuff and being able to rent them and take them home and watch it in the comfort of your own home, but also just media as in like the news.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, you're fine. And I think if we really think about it, we wouldn't have Scream 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 if the media would have never romanticized the Woodsboro killing, including Gail. Because of the killings, and she wrote that book, is the reason that she becomes a lot more famous and becomes an anchor or a proper news reporter, I guess. And so it just shows how the media really affects the way we look at killers, right? Some people want to imitate them, and we touched base on this on when we were reviewing 6, I think, where people all of a sudden want to marry these psychopaths because we dedicate so much time to them, and we really feel like we know them, right? Which is like, oh, well, little Johnny killed, 98 people, but let's look at why, right? Like, and then he has a whole 2020 special about how he was raised and
Jeffrey
all this.
Dahmer.
Yeah, him too.
Mm-hmm.
So it really shows how our culture, like, it was a good commentary on our culture, because I think 96, maybe a few years later, we have the Virginia Tech killings, the mass shooting then, or Columbine, excuse me. We had Columbine.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Around the same time, maybe 2 years apart. But we were really focusing so much on the Columbine shooters instead of the victims, right? And so not much has changed from that, with the exception that now more and more people have been a lot more vocal, like, maybe we shouldn't be focusing on the killers, maybe we should be focusing on the victims. So a lot of people have learned their lessons from movies specifically to not focus on killers, but focus on the actual people that mattered at that point. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how in 96, however many years, that 20 something years ago, we were really talking about how these things are affecting people and how we shouldn't focus on it. So
yeah. And I think also we see so much, especially in Scream, of just like how these killers affected people throughout their entire lives. Because like Sydney never really had a break, and when she tried to, like, she always got drawn back, So, and again, as I've said before, I do watch a lot of true crime, and I very much try and find the people that talk about the victims, talk about the families. There are some people that will talk directly to the families, have them on their shows, and like talk about like the effects it has on your life, because it's really rough, And I think it's also really important to find people that support organizations that help victims and victims' families. There's especially I'm trying to remember the name of the program. I think it's Missing and Exploited Children or something like that, that really helps with like families that have been affected by like these killers or kidnappers and stuff. And it's like, it's important that we also focus on the people that like are affected by these things as well,
Right. Yeah, totally. I like, it's just crazy how so much has happened, but nothing has changed, or almost nothing has changed, of how from 96 to now, what has happened between our society in general. Hopefully, as we grow older, we grow wiser. No signs of that happening anytime soon, but hopefully it does happen. So here's the big question. Before I get to the big question, let me ask you this: have you heard the soundtrack to Scream?
The soundtrack? Like just like listen to it like outside of Scream?
Yeah.
I actually have not. Is it really good? I'm sure it probably is.
I enjoy the songs on it. It's actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
One of the songs on it is Red Hands. And I really like that. It's also the opening theme to Peaky Blinders.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Yeah.
Which is weird, but like I never initially, before watching Peaky Blinders, I never really paid attention to the song. And then with Peaky Blinders, I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool song. And then I've just noticed that it's in so many movies, and the lyric of it just makes sense for Scream. It's so good. It's so good.
What is it?
Basically, so Red Hand, right? It basically talks about how like this person could be doing so good, but then he's holding like a gun or a knife with his red hand, which the hand is red because of blood.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the premise of the song. It's really enjoyable, and then they have a couple of versions of bigger songs, just slowed down and like very melodic, and like, oh, like this is very tender, which is really the opposite of what Scream is, and that's why I like it so much. I was listening to it this morning when I was writing a script. So I was like, yeah, this is awesome. This fits so well.
Yeah, totally. I definitely want to go back and listen to it. That
You
sounds
should.
good.
It's on YouTube. So
Cool.
you could
Yeah.
definitely just
I totally
listen.
will. I listen to a lot of soundtracks when I edit, so
Yeah.
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
So now the big question. Your rating of Scream.
It is a big 5 out of 5 for me personally, especially compared to the other Scream movies.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the Scream movies, but this one is by far my favorite, which I think I've already been saying. But
Yeah.
it's 5 out of 5. See it in theaters. See it anywhere you can.
Yeah.
It's just a must watch.
Go ahead,
Must watch.
rent a theater and just watch it there.
Yeah.
By
all
yourself.
by yourself. No
All
one
by
else.
Just grab the largest popcorn and just do it.
What's even better is if you hire some people who will come in ghost face masks or something and scare the crap out of you.
Randomly.
Yeah, just random.
Just have someone sitting there. Just pop up. You're sitting watching Scream. All of a sudden someone just pops up. Like that'd be something.
It adds to the ambiance.
I don't know if I want shit to be part of my ambiance. All right. I think I'm a pretty tough guy for the most part, and I'm pretty calm and collected with some stuff. But I don't know how I would react to like a freaking ghost face just popping right there, like just right in front of me
Yeah.
and then turning over. Like, oh, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
like total Seth Rogen moment. Just, yeah, I don't know.
I just need to find out the next time you're watching Scream, and then I just need to come knock on your door.
It's probably gonna be tonight, honestly. I'll probably show my kid. I don't think he's watched the first one. I see those devious eyes. I'm gonna lock every door.
Well, watch out. I know how to get in your house.
It's sad because it's true.
Yeah.
It's not sad, but it is true. You do know how to get in my house. That's
Sleep
fair.
with one eye open tonight. I'm so sorry. What's your rating?
I don't know how to feel, but you coming in while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I sleep naked.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Anyway, definitely a 5.
Oh yeah.
Definitely a 5.
It's an easy 5.
It's an easy 5 out of 5. And I know some people would be like, oh, but Scream kind of sucks. And it's like, sure, if you're comparing it to today,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't have what you have today without Scream.
Exactly.
So
I totally agree.
it's not really much of a comparison, right? It's like you're comparing boiled chicken breast with a medium steak.
Yeah.
It's not. It's good,
Yeah.
but it's not the same.
And you got to look at it through the eyes of 1996. You can't look at it through the eyes of 2023.
Which
know.
I think we should probably do that with a lot of stuff.
I 100% agree. That's yeah.
Don't just
totally agree.
yesterday with today's eyes.
Yes.
But yeah, totally a 5 out of 5.
Mhm.
It's a fantastic movie. It, like I've mentioned it before. There's some weird shit with it.
Yeah.
However, I am willing to suspend my belief for those 90 minutes.
Mhm.
You know, it's a good suspension of belief. But also, I would say it's just there's movies that I like today, and I can see the influence that it has from Scream.
Yeah.
One movie that you and I both enjoy, Hell House.
Oh,
We can
I love Hell
see.
House.
I can see the influence that it gets from movies like Scream.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a very entertaining story. It moves your expectations constantly. It shifts them. You don't have many red herrings in Hell House. You do have one in the third one,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really good red herring the entire time. But though the fact that it is hiding something from you, right? Like a lot of the times with today's movies, we are God. We play God as the audience because we see things that other characters cannot see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scream, on the other hand, we're not an omnipresent person. We are as much as a victim as Sydney, as Randy,
Mhm.
as Dewey and Gail. And Hell House does the same thing. We are as much as a victim and or a guest of
Mhm.
Hell House
Yeah.
as much as the other crew is.
Yeah.
And we suffer the same fate, right? And so not a lot of movies do that. They give us a very omnipresent
Mm-hmm.
presence. And so, yeah, I think thanks to Scream, we have really good movies today.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up because that is also one of my favorite things about Scream is that we don't know till the end. And what made Scream 6, I think, so different than what we've seen is that they give us a little bit of a taste of what it would be like to be omnipresent, and then they take it away. But like, I just think that's super unique. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll say one of the last things I'm going to say before we conclude our Scream Odyssey.
Oh my gosh.
Is it doesn't matter, and we've said this almost since 6, doesn't matter how much you know the rules, you're still going to fuck up and die.
Yep.
So, that being said, between the next time that we see you and we let you know what you should be watching, what you should be avoiding, or what you should give it a try, don't forget, keep reading those comic books, keep watching that anime, rock and roll, and above everything, guys, if you need help with something, don't forget to reach out to someone that, loves you, or the suicide hotline, because it is important not to off yourself, because someone out there loves you. We love you, and we care about you. Stay nerdy, guys.